Hey, Twin Cities and all across Minnesota. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Jeffrey Asamoah with Thrivedge Solutions. I'm a business consultant and credit specialist. I'm joined today by Christie Thompson of ChristieLegal, a highly experienced paralegal and mediator in divorce and child custody. Christie, say hello to our viewers.
Hello. I'm very glad to be here.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. Well, today's topic, we're just going to be able to break down some things. What we want to talk about is how to deal with debt, how to deal with debt post divorce. All right, Christy, what do we got today?
Okay, so I'm gonna be, I'm a woman who just got divorced recently, and I have some debts, and I'm wondering, what is the most effective way to handle those debts? Most people who divorce have debts to deal with, and uh, they don't have to take all the debt, but most people have to take some of it. And in my theoretical divorce case, I have a Wells Fargo Bank credit card with $4,500 on it, with a minimum payment of $100. And then I have a car loan that's has $25,000 left, and it has a monthly payment of $750. And then I have like a bunch of various medical debts on a care credit card, and that has a total of $3,000 on it with a minimum payment of $125.
Okay, cool. So now let's see how we can simplify that, right? See how we can deal with that just from, again, just a simple perspective. All right, we're not going to go too in depth. Now, first of all, I'm going to share my screen here in a second and, just kind of pull up a little spreadsheet and we can, plug those numbers in, see what that looks like and see how we can approach this. All right. Let me know once you see my screen.
I am just about to see it. There it is.
Uh, Now, so typically when you're talking about debt or paying down debt, right, managing your debt, there are few different methods, few different ways to go about that, right? You can look at things like, well, how do I pay this off faster? Or maybe if you have interest, right, because interest can eat up or can basically add to the debt. So you can also come from that perspective of, can I just deal with this, paying the highest interest first, or any combination of all? So just for now, what we're going to do though is plug in the information and then decide how we want to deal with it. Right? Increase my screen too much, too much, too much. Let's go back.
Oh, yeah, that looks pretty good.
Here we go. Let's start here. All right. So the numbers you mentioned, you say you have a Wells Fargo debt. So let's call this Wells Fargo Bank, and it's a credit card, right?
Yep.
Wells Fargo Bank, we'll just call that CC. And we know it's because it's a credit card, it's a revolving account that we're trying to deal with. And the current balance you say is 4,500.
Yep.
All right. So we'll leave the previous balance alone. Now, typically, when you're dealing with things like this, you also want to take a look at due dates, right? Because what you want to find out is, what is my current typical due dates?
Um,
Place. So let's just say our due date for this is the 5th of every month. So we'll just put that there, right? Monthly due 5th. Oh, actually, wait, that back. This is more of, it's not, it's more of what is the amount that is due monthly. That's what this is. My bad. The wrong spreadsheet. So the amount for this, you says $100 a month. So we,
yeah, $100 a month, because I'm planning on having to pay this for the next umpteen years.
so just off a straight number, right? If you take that 4,500, divide that by that 100, that's what, 45 months?
Yeah.
45 months, that's well over 3 years, going on almost 4 years. So,
Yeah.
all right. So again, it's good to have the information, visualize the information, then decide how we go about that. So for the original balance or limit, we'll keep it at 4,500. Now you see how this changed up here? We just switch colors because I got a little bit of formulas in here. Percentage, right? What percentage of this debt has been paid off or whatever. Right? So ignore that. Don't worry about that. But typically, again, these are all things that you can do, but we want to simplify. All right. And this may have interest to it, whether it does or not. Again, we're not going to worry about it for this particular case. So what is our next one? We say we have, you have car loan, right?
Yeah.
Car loan. Okay. So a car loan is an installment account, and the amount for that car loan is 25,000. Right?
Yep.
We're looking at monthly due of 750.
Yep.
All right. So original balance is still that. And again, it's 100%. So you see this current balance percentage, that just lets us know where we currently at. And it's 100%. Again, we're not going to worry about any interest for now. Next debt, basically, you said it's a combination of medical debts, right? And we're looking at a total of 3,000. So we call that care credit.
Mhm.
Care credit card. So again, revolving, and 3,000 total. And what is the monthly on that? 125?
Yes.
125. Cool. So again, here's where we currently stand as of now, right? Without any interest, assuming there is just no interest on this, which I don't typically happen, but this is, we're all right.
And
Well, no interest.
Simple life. Ugh.
All right. So if we look down here, we see that the total of the debt is 32,500. Okay. The monthly due, fortunately, this math is not mathing, but let's go ahead. The monthly due, so you're paying $975 fixed monthly. That's what's set. Right? So if we just do that math and we say, all right, we're going to take this 32,500, divide that by the monthly due, that's going to be, get the math right? I did not do that math right.
So 32.5 divided by 975.
Yeah, hold on. Why is this showing? Let's use a calculator to see what I'm seeing. I'm trying to see. So 32,500 divide. Oh, okay. I know why. Because let's not use that side. Let's use maybe just right here. Because there's a formula different thing in there that's calling that. All right. So it's going to take us 33. Well, yeah. So it's going to, no, if it's 33 months. Yep. So a little over 33 months. Right. So
Yep.
that off. Exactly. Because basically it's like 30,000 divided by 1,000 a month. That's going to be about 30 months. So you have 33 months. So at 33 months, again, that's closer to what? We got 24, 30, that's almost 3 years. It's what that's going
Yeah.
to take. Almost 3 years to pay this off. So the question becomes, well, do we want to take 3 years to pay this off? So that's the question I ask you, Christy. Do you want to take 3 years to pay this off, or how long would you like to take to pay this off?
So, I also have a mortgage, but it's, something that, I'm good with having. And, and that's something I'm not going to be able to pay off early. So I don't know if that would go in this chart as well. Would that go in this chart as well?
Essentially, we would want to. So there are two things we can do. One, we can just approach it from just your regular debt that you're trying to deal with. The mortgage itself can be information that we track and keep down. Now, another approach to this really is to understand how much extra free money do you actually have left over a month.
Right. Yeah.
So it'll be based on your income. We have to be able to factor that in. How much is Christy bringing in a month? Do you have that number off top?
Yeah. I'm gonna say I have $60,000 a year, so that's $5,000.
5,000 a month. All right. Let me do this. Let me see. Yep. 5,000. So you're bringing in 5,000 a month. And then we looking at, let's see. So out of this 5,000, now the other thing we got to factor in is out of this 5,000, currently we know that almost 20% is going towards your debt every month. Okay. And that's this, debt to income ratio I've got in here. But how you do that, you take that 975, divide that by the 5,000, and that's going to be 19.5%. So that tells me about 20% is going towards your debt. So how much is your mortgage need?
My mortgage is 1,800.
All right. So I'm just going to write that right here. 1,800 for mortgage. What other expenses are you paying for? You definitely got to live, you got to eat, right? How looking groceries, all that.
Yeah, so all the other stuff, I would say is like $1,000 a month.
Okay. So 1,000 plus the 28 plus the 1,800. So we are 2,800. Right.
Wait a
So
minute. I better say 1,500 because, I mean, heck, my car insurance alone is $400.
all right. So let's not that in add. So you've got about an additional $3,300 worth of expense. I'm just actually going to put that right here. Down here like this. We'll delete this. So these two numbers combined is literally $4,275. Here's what that means, right? So we'll call this other, I don't know why that's pink, but other expenses. And then let's say balance. So basically your 5,000 a month minus the 975 of debt minus the $3,300 of extra or other expenses. That leaves you with $725 extra a month to be able to do whatever with it. Okay. So let's assume that you saying, all right, Jeff, I want to take this amount, this 725, and add it towards my debt so I can pay it off faster. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, let's take 500 of it because we need a slush fund too for like car repairs.
all right, cool. So additional $500 is what we're looking at to be able to $500 a month. All right. So we already know we've got 975. So that 975 a month plus $500 a month. So basically 1475 is what you want to be able to put towards this debt. All right.
Yeah.
So if we take that 500, we want to divide that into, because we got about three different debt here. 500 divided by three, not a solid even number. Let's try to get a solid even number or solid even divisible number by three, I should say.
Oh, 600.
Let- So let's do 525. All right, we're
Oh,
gonna do it 525. That's gonna mean an additional 175. And actually, it doesn't really matter to be honest with you. There, there are different ways. Actually, it doesn't matter, and I'll explain to you why in a second here. So let's just say again, the $500, like what you said, is what we want to use. All right. So the question becomes, well, which of these do we take down first? Right. We've got the lowest debt is the 3,000 from Care Credit with all the various, medical debt combined. Your next lowest is the 4,500. Your largest is the 25,000. All right. Now, the other thing to keep in mind, of course, we're not looking at interest, but if let's say the car loan had the largest factoring interest, meaning this to me, this is what I mean when I say that. It could be a lower interest, but because the balance is larger, whatever that interest rate is, even if it's a 10%, it could basically cause that debt to prolong longer, right? Even if it's at 5%, again, we got to run the numbers, but we want to simplify it, right? So all we know is this: we are currently paying 975 a month. We want to throw in an additional 500, and we want to start from where? All right. So let's just say we want to start from the lowest, all right? The lowest. So we have to maintain this minimum payments. Then we have an additional 500. So let's say we want to throw that additional 500 into this care credit. All right, into this care credit. So we take that 3,000, and here, let me see if I can just do the math down here somewhere. We'll take that 3,000, and we want to now divide that by, well, let's do this math here. This 3,000. We want to divide that by 125 plus 500, so 625. 625. Right. So that's me going to take about almost 5 months is what this is. This ignore this, was basically be about 5 months to pay this off. All right. So let's say we were not doing that. So we're doing 3,000 divided by the 125. It'll take us 24 months
Yeah.
to be able to pay this off, right? To be able to pay off just the care credit by itself. Now, if we up that by that, what was that? 125 plus 500, so that's 625. That's going to be 4.8 months, so 5 months. Think about that. And again, if there's interest associated with this, we just reduce that, right? We basically get paid us off within 5 to 6 months or so, dropping the interest or the amount of extra money that we paid off. Now, here's the kicker. This is what we call the snowball method, right? The snowball method is this. Once you have paid off this debt, so let's say we happen to have paid this off, the previous balance was 3,000. We've just paid it off as 5 months later. We've paid this off to zero, right? Now we have an additional 500 from before, the extra money, plus an additional 125, because that's the way to look at this. You don't just have $500 extra. You have the additional 125 that you were paying.
Yeah.
So what you do is you will now take that 625, add that to the next debt. So the next debt's monthly payment is $100. So you take that 625 and add it to that. So that will be what, 725, right? So it boils down to 725. So now we take that 725, we take 4,500. Well, to be perfectly honest, by the 5 months, this debt would have dropped. If we really want to be, if we really want to be ideal. So 4,500 minus, so let's say 5 months, that'll be $500. So minus $500, so it's 4,000 left, right? So let's kind of factor that in a little bit. So
Right. Because we were making payments.
payments, exactly. So now by the 5 months, we're down to almost 89% balance left. Now we can factor in that 725 at that 4,000. So we take that 4,000, divide that by $725. That's an additional 5.5 months, almost 6 months. All right. So let's call it 6 months. So that means 5 months have passed plus an additional 6 months. 11 months has passed now. So still
11 Yeah, and 2 of the debts are paid off.
well, the debts are paid off. Absolutely. So we'll reduce this. Let's keep this at the 4,000 here that we just did that, and we'll call this zero because we've now just paid this off, right? And in that same process, keep it as 25,000. 11 months of 11 times 750. 750 times 11, so 8,250. Again, this is without any interest. We're not factoring.
Yeah. Pretend there's everybody.
So now 25,000 minus, what was that number? 8,250. 8,250 or $8,250 as so we've paid off 8,250 off of this. So that means we have 16,750 left, right? And now we're adding this 750 plus this 725. So now you got 14,000 or 1,000 rather, $475, right? So we take that 16,750, divide that by that 1,475. That's an additional 11 months and change. So literally within 2 years, we could pay this all off. So
Yep.
let's
Yep.
forward.
Yeah.
Instead of 33 years and change, or 32, almost 33 years.
Yeah. So 20 months instead of 33 months. So that's 11 months early.
Absolutely. Which
Yeah.
earning interest, my goodness, you would have saved yourself some interest. And
Right.
so,
And yeah, and so then my understanding is when you do this in the full format, that then you take into consideration, oh, what's the interest rate? And stuff like that. So then we get a little more complicated. But for the purposes of this exercise, we can't get that complicated, right?
so this is good. This is good. So we end up paying our entire 25, the entire debt. Let me actually go back to the original numbers here.
32.
Yep. So we end up paying this entire, let's bring that to zero because we paid off. So we end up paying this entire 32,500, right, in pretty much 2 years versus,
Yeah.
of
3.
course, with
Yeah.
interest, it might have been additional, additional few months extra, whatever the case is, but it's a done deal.
Yeah. And that's
Mhm.
really important when, when you're fresh off of a divorce, you are adjusting to having only one income. And unless you're receiving child support or spousal maintenance, you're adjusting to having only one income. And a lot of people, post divorce, it takes a while to realize, oh, I only have one income now.
Sure.
And so it's gonna be really beneficial to meet with Jeffrey and try to get your debt paid off as soon as possible and in the most profitable way, the most financially savvy way, so that you can start, replanning your financial future on your one income.
Absolutely. And the next aspect of this is, especially if you're looking at building or maybe even rebuilding your credit, right?
Yeah.
Because from the divorce, it's possible that maybe you were not able to keep everything handled, paying off the debts continuously and all that, managing your credit continuously. So in a situation like that, this debt, it will be crucial for you to be able to maintain this debt because that's one of the biggest factors of your credit is going to be your payment history, your ability to continuously pay your credit on time, right? So if that's a problem, your credit score most likely will take a hit, right? So you want to be able to understand your really your cash flow, finances, what's coming in, what's going out, and then how much can you put down towards your debt, right? You don't really want to strain yourself, but you also don't want to push it to the back burner or just kind of let it slide or be like, individual that says, man, I'm paying my credit cards all the time, but it keeps adding up. I'm going out. I just paid it. Now it's more. Like, why? Because you got to be able to understand what's going on. Minimum payments and interest attached is basically eating you up and it's hurting you. So you got to be able to get ahead of the game, get a picture of what's going on with your finances. You have to. You have to. That's the only way you're gonna come out on top.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks very much for explaining that.
Welcome. You're welcome. Well, folks, Minnesota, hope y'all get a chance to check this out and go ahead and give us a follow, give us a like, and just keep in the loop, right? Because we definitely got more things coming out for you. So, anything else from your end, Kristen?
Um, nope. Unless you would like to talk a little bit about how you help people rebuild their credit after they've paid off everything.
Absolutely. And so, absolutely, Christy, I appreciate that. So, how I help people with credit really comes from understanding what's on your credit report, right? And these are all things you can do for yourself. Whether you come to me or you do this yourself, you want to access your credit report. You want to be able to understand everything that's there. What I've discovered, a lot of people at times because they don't check their credit reports that often, there are debt on there that they typically don't even realize. Right. So being able to check your credit report, don't let it be a scary thing. It can be scary and get it. But if you don't approach it from, hey, let me at least look at it, it's gonna hit you by surprise a few months down the line, a couple of years down the line, when you're ready for that big purchase, when you're ready for those big moves. You don't want those surprises. Trust me, you don't want those surprises. Right. So take a look at your credit report, and that's what I'll do with you. Look at your credit report, analyze it. Make sure that every information that is reported is reported accurate, right? By law, you have the right to basically make sure to, or you have the right to fair credit reporting, making sure that every information on your credit report is reported accurately, fairly, without error, right? And it's all verified information. So if none of these things are true, or if any of these things are not true on your credit report, you have the right to dispute to basically try to get them corrected, right? So that's the approach. That's the approach. So we'll sit down with you, take a look at everything, see what's there, what needs to be worked on, and also figure out how much debt you have and we come up with a game plan with you on how you can manage your own debt. And so there are certain things you do for yourself because I can't do them for you. I can't pay your debts for you. And there are certain things that we'll be able to work with you to help you handle. All right. So yeah, we'll just take it from there and see how best we can get you from where you at to your next level. But it starts with a simple review of your credit report. Again, if you don't want to do that by yourself, let's talk. We can.
Awesome. Yeah, you remind me of people who avoid going to the doctor because they're afraid of what the doctor's gonna say, but then they waited too long and they're in the emergency room.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's that's it. This is what it is.
So don't be in the financial emergency room.
I want to do that. Don't do that.
Figure it out early.
And agree to that.
Well, thanks for the explanation, and I hope that, everybody in Minnesota benefits from this information and, really reach out to Jeffrey if you have any questions about any of it, because that's not me.
I'm all ears. I'm all ears. All right, folks. Have yourselves a good day, good afternoon, good night, whatever time it is that you're watching this. We'll link up later.